بكم جميعا. Respected Dr. Hilal Al-Hinai, Sohar University member of Board of Governors, our guest of honor, and the keynote speaker for this conference. Distinguished guests, honored researchers, delegates to the 6th Sohar University Research Conference, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Sohar University today and to this conference. This conference, either you are attending in person in this magnificent hall, or joining remotely online through the YouTube channel. The conference is connected with Oman 2040 vision and the Sohar University 4 research themes. It will focus on connecting communities, engaging in emerging and advanced technology, enterprise, and industry and sustainable environment. I would like to start by highlighting the importance of research. Research is a fundamental component of any successful university and of any successful country, as it is critical to the economic and social well-being of society. At the same time, the challenge of developing a robust research and development R&D sector is common to many countries, and it takes years of significant efforts to build the confidence and the capacity in the R&D that is required to establish any country as a leader in these areas. On the other hand, international competition within the R&D sector also puts pressure on the higher education institutions to guarantee the quality of their academic delivery and to build the innovation and creativity in education that can result in investment. It is good to note that countries that have invested in research have seen a growth in their research productivity, and this has led to these countries being among the leaders on the innovation index. Accordingly, due to the vital importance of research, universities should lead in developing research by nurturing research talent for both young and experienced researchers, by creating step-by-step research developmental agendas, by creating more staff time to research as universities move towards centers of research-led innovation universities, by establishing collaborative research with other educational institutions and universities, both nationally and internationally. This last point is of particular importance, as there is evidence that higher levels of collaboration generates increased research productivity, increased index papers, and increased research outcomes. It must, however, be admitted that universities face challenges when trying to collaborate with innovation industries for research purposes. I would like to suggest that, firstly, universities need to pursue research and innovative projects relevant to the innovative needs of the industry, and that they should involve industry in their teaching and learning endeavors to enable cross-pollination of expertise and practical experience in order to enhance the potential for innovation. They also need to work to develop applied research capacities and showcase their ability to contribute to both national development imperatives and the United Nations Sustainable Goals, the SDGs. There is therefore a need to promote research that targets SDGs and national development plans for contextual relevance. It is therefore important that universities sustain their strategic alliances with national, regional, and international institutions. Sohar University, therefore, has capitalized on its proximity to the nearby industrial area by partnering with industry, often directly on campus, for the mutual benefit of both the university and its industrial partners. For the university, there are opportunities for new research innovation by identifying relevant problems, broadening our students' and faculty's experience, enhancing regional economic development, and increasing student economic opportunities. Sohar University has focused on delivering research with impact through its partnerships with the government and with local industry. Intag Sohar for advanced manufacturing, the manufacturing incubation, and the Sohar University Grace Laboratories at Sohar Universities are illustrative of our successful partnerships and the impact of innovation on campus. To further develop research ability and capacity, Sohar University is now exerting its primary efforts in terms of recruitment of academic staff with good research backgrounds, giving appropriate publication incentives and providing appropriate conference support, funding for those academic staff who wish to share their expertise with their counterparts both internally and nationally and internationally. Dr. Hilal bin Ali Al-Hinai, our Guest of Honor, ladies and gentlemen. This conference is an event that brings together researchers from all around the world, informing the attendees of their research outcomes and exchanging their views on relevant research matters. It will therefore help to establish further collaboration and improve the quality of research findings. We are pleased to have such a rich variety of presenters, and we look forward to their presentations. I would like to thank the attendees, all of you, either attending in this magnificent hall or by joining us remotely, the reviewers, the speakers, and the organizing committee. Their efforts and support have made this conference possible. Special thanks must go to you, Sheikh Dr. Hilal Al-Hinai, for agreeing to be our guest of honor and the keynote speaker for this conference. So thank you, Dr. Hilal. Also, I would like to thank Grace Company for their partial sponsorship for this conference. So thank you, Grace. I hope you will enjoy the presentations, and I welcome you all to this conference with all best wishes. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Hamdan. And now it's our pleasure to introduce and give a brief about our guest of honor and our main keynote speaker, Dr. Hilal Al-Hinai. Dr. Hilal Al-Hinai is the former Secretary General of the Research Council of Oman that was established in 2005. Prior to that, he was the director of the Water Research Center and associate professor in the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering at Sultan Qaboos University. He joined SQU in 1986 as a maintenance engineer, and in 1988, after obtaining his MSc from Cranfield Institute of Technology, he was appointed as a teaching assistant in the College of Engineering at SQU. In 1992, he obtained his PhD from CIT in the field of natural cooling techniques for building in hot climates. He served as a member of Educational Council 2012 to 2020, the Global Research Council 2015 to 2020. In 2018, the American Academy of Arts and Science elected Dr. Al-Hinai as an international honorary member for his contribution to the development of higher education, research, and innovation in Oman. This year, he became a member of Sohar University Board of Governors. Dr. Al-Hinai's research interests are in the fields of solar energy and water desalination. Please welcome our guest of honor and our main keynote speaker in this event, Dr. Hilal Al-Hinai.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I feel really honored and privileged to be with you today here and to be able to speak about a topic that I have dear to my heart. So thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for this well-organized conference, and we look forward to a successful event. Can I? Bismillah. I'm going to speak about research capacity building in Oman to meet the aspirations of Oman's Vision 2040. And allow me to start from the national level and then maybe come down to the institutional level. And strategies, a vision is part of a strategy. And strategies, as you know, are basically the work plan of moving a country and developing it for a certain period of time. And within that strategy, a very critical component is what we call the vision. And it's actually an expression that is meant to state and to specify where do we want our country to be within this period of time. For example, we had Oman's Vision 2020. How did Oman move from 1995 to 2020? Now we have Oman's Vision 2040, and the vision statement basically specifies to us where do we want Oman to be by the year 2040. So it's an expression of desired future state the country will develop towards achieving by the end of a strategy period. What is the role of the vision statement? Why do we have a vision statement? It's basically to inspire each of us, as citizens of a country, to work towards achieving the desired future state in whatever we do. When we say Oman's Vision 2040, it's not only the government programs, but the vision statement basically should inspire all of us to work and to do our best towards achieving that vision or to that end goal. If we want to be at a certain particular state, let's say among the developed countries, then as teachers in a university or as researchers in a university, we want to do our best to compete and to compare with whatever country is in this end state that we aim to. If I'm a student, I want to do my best so that I am comparable to that end state. If I am a farmer, I will also do my best, use technologies, increase my productivity to achieve that end goal. And if I'm a civil servant, then I'm surely I must do my duty to do my work in the best possible manner so that I am comparable to the best in the world. So that when I achieve that end goal, I know that I'm competing with top countries around the world. So the vision statement has a critical role in inspiring all of us to do our best. And quite often, and I'm sure also here at Sohar University, you see many places where that vision is boasted. It's boasted on the walls of entrances, and it's boasted in conference halls, it's boasted in classrooms. Why? So that it inspires us. If, for example, Sohar's university vision is to be among the top universities in Oman, as teachers, we will do our best to be among the top. As students, we will do our best to be among the top. As researchers, we will do our best to achieve that end state. So the vision statement has a critical role in inspiring all of us. Now, let us test you. What was the vision statement of Oman's Vision 2020? Anyone? First row people, this was your strategy. Can you recall it? Well, not many people actually know that vision statement. And unfortunately also, it was not well emphasized and marketed. And this is probably why many people did not think the value of Oman 2020, even at the government level, because it was not marketed properly. But what I recall, and what I checked from the internet recently, the vision was to double the income per capita in real terms as compared to 1995. And if you recall, at that time, there was this challenge of low oil prices, and can we maintain the income per capita for Oman with a declining oil price? And can we diversify? And that is the area of aiming to diversify the economy from oil. And this vision was to double the income per capita in real terms, was a real inspiration. Did we achieve that vision? And remember, it's a static vision. We are competing with ourselves, not anyone else. The income per capita at that time, as what I've checked recently also, is around $6,000 per capita. And when you check 2020 income per capita, it's about 14,000. And as per my calculation, and I'm not an economist, if we take an average inflation rate of 2.2%, that value in real terms would be around $8,000, not doubling it. However, this is 2020. 2 years before that, Oman's GDP was something like 24,000 before the oil price dropped down again. So yes, we did achieve it, and then we went down again. But it is why I'm bringing this is that I'm trying to emphasize the importance of the vision statement and how we should be working, each of us, towards achieving that end goal. Now the second test. Maybe this is for our, not front rows, our young participants in the back. This is now your strategy, 2040. Anyone recalls what is the vision statement for Oman's 2040? It's been marketed. You have seen the logos. Where's the logo? Well, that is the logo. Anyway, this is the logo. All of you are very familiar with the logo. Unfortunately, that logo did not give you an indication of what is the vision statement. Something being put in there which is moving forward with confidence, which is not the vision statement. Probably what should have been put there is the vision statement, so that all of us would basically have it stamped in our hearts and in our minds and try and achieve that vision statement in whatever we do. The vision statement is Oman joining the world's developed countries. In Arabic, Oman في مصاف الدول المتقدمة. That is our aspiration. We want to be among the leading countries in the world. And for that, we put certain targets in different areas. And if we look at, for example, research and innovation, through the Global Innovation Index, we want to be among the top 20 countries in the world. And in terms of skills and competitiveness, we want to be among the top 10 countries in the world. And in terms of real GDP per capita, we want to increase it by 90% or almost double it as per the previous. We want to have a very efficient governance, and we want to be ranked among the top 10 countries in the world. Our environment, in Environmental Performance Index, we want to be among the top 20 countries in the world. In terms of FDI, we want to attract 10%. We want to diversify our economy, moving away from oil, so that non-oil share of GDP would become about 90%. And that is a challenge. And the Omani's share of jobs, 40%, and we want to increase the GDP by about 5%. So these are targets. These are the targets that we want to achieve. How did we come to that vision statement? And at least this is from the innovation, research and innovation perspective. This is what is being put, is it clear here? Yeah. This is what has been put through the Global Innovation Index report. And it's basically a scatter diagram showing different countries and plotting their GDP per capita against their GII score, how innovative that country is. And a best fit line that basically indicates the higher your innovation capabilities, the higher your GDP will be, except for those countries which are below that line. And these group of countries are called underperforming relative to their GDP. Our GDP is quite high. This is Oman. We have a relatively high GDP because of our oil revenues. And we want to diversify away from oil. So we don't want our GDP to decline. We need to maintain our income or income per capita so that we don't become poorer, in a sense. The only way to do that is to climb this ladder upward. And basically moving upward towards the leading countries, that is where our GDP takes us. So the vision statement came from this: we want to be among the leaders. Oman في مصاف الدول المتقدمة. These are the group of leading countries in research, and their GDP in research and innovation, and their GDP is quite high, mainly because of their innovation capabilities. So our vision is to work hard to improve our innovation capabilities so that by the year 2040, we are among these group of countries. And obviously, this is Oman في مصاف الدول المتقدمة, and we are joining these group of countries. Let me come back to this, and I want to select two countries from these leading countries. I will look at two countries similar, almost similar in size to ours: Finland, which is somewhere in here, and Singapore. And we'll try and see what is it that they are doing so that they are among the leaders. And especially, this is a look at research and innovation. Finland has a Research and Innovation Council that is chaired by the Prime Minister and includes members of cabinet and representatives from government, business, and academia. And let's look at this council. It is chaired by the Prime Minister, and it has two deputy chairs: Minister of Education and Culture and Minister of Economic Affairs and Employment. But let's look at the other ministers. You have the Minister of Finance. Without money, you cannot move. You have the Minister of Defense. You have the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You have the Minister of Social Affairs and Health, Minister of Agriculture and Forestry, Minister of Transport and Communication. A very strong ministerial team. And from academia, you have the Council of Finnish Academies, Academy of Finland, University of Helsinki, University of Aalto, VTT Research Centers, Finnish Innovation Fund, and from industry, you have Confederation of Finnish Industries, Business Finland, Finnish Enterprise, Nokia Cooperation, National Technology Agency, Techies. So it has a very strong team of leadership that basically sets the direction, and its secretariat, it's located within the office of the Prime Minister. So research and innovation to Finland is a very important driver. If we look how much they spend, their expenditure in GDP is about 2.9% of GDP. 2.9% of GDP. That's about 7.1 billion euros. And within the public funding, I think there is about 1.3 billion. Academy of Finland, Business Finland, Strategic Research Council, Finnish Innovation Fund, and others. This is about 1.3 billion euros. From industry, there is about 5.8 billion euros, and this is the 7.1. On top of that, Finland also gets from the European Union about 2.2 billion euros for research and innovation funding. So it is actually more than the 2.9% of GDP. Now, if we look at Singapore, they have a similar system. They have the National Research Foundation Board, again chaired by the Prime Minister. Ministers, Deputy Prime Minister for Coordination, who is responsible for economic policies, and Minister of Finance, Minister of National Security, Minister of Trade and Industry, Minister of Education, Minister of Communication and Information, Minister of Economic Policies. And again, it has membership from business and academia, universities, and research institutes like A-STAR, Bark Holdings, Credence Partners, and so on. So again, it has a top drive from the Prime Minister with senior ministerial team and with the support of industry and academia. Their expenditure is about 1.9% of their GDP, or about 15 billion Singaporean dollars. Again, the public funding is about 5 or 6 billion, and in here they have industry providing about 8.3 billion Singaporean dollars. So, to me, the conclusion from these two countries, that if you want to be among the top 20 countries in the Global Innovation Index, you need to have a strong political will, a desire, and as a country, demonstrated through the provision of strong funding and top-down drive that removes hurdles. The top-down drive is very important. And I recall visiting Singapore and talking to someone, the CEO of a science park called Biopolis. And he mentioned that although Singapore is very limited in terms of land space, when they wanted to build their science park at a very strategic location, the CEO called the Prime Minister and he said, I'm going to fence that area and all ministers will keep calling you, protesting, so please fend them off. He said, go ahead. For us here in Oman, the example, we wanted to establish a science and technology city, and we worked for about 20 years with not senior government officers trying to say, move this place, why don't you go here, why don't you go there? So the top-down drive is critical for removing hurdles. Let me show you an example of the importance of what I call political will. This is because we are in a research conference, and I'm showing the research, the publications for different GCC universities, selected universities. The top one here, top line, is Kuwait University, Sultan Qaboos University, and somewhere in there is Sohar University. I think that line in there. And with funding, for example, Sultan Qaboos University, after the Research Council started, their publications increased slightly. Now, let us show with this King Saud University. King Saud University was of the same line as Sultan Qaboos University and Kuwait University until they approved their research and development strategy. And this is their publication record. It dwarfed everyone else. It's not that, this is political will. How did they achieve that? They spent significant amount of money. They collaborated with Nobel laureates. They sought top researchers from around the world and said to them, would you like to be affiliated with King Saud University and maybe come and visit us 2 weeks in a year so that you are affiliated with our university? But what I'm demonstrating in this is that that is political will. Because if you want your universities to be among the top 300 or 500 universities in the world, which they put in there, you need to spend. When you see that amount of spending of billions, this is where it goes. This is Oman's Global Innovation Index. And why I'm showing this, because when the Research Council was established, we had this big hope that money will be spent. And to be fair, initially, we were giving sufficient funding, let's say, to start establishing the establishment process. And we were quite happy to see our efforts being reflected positively within the Global Innovation Index until the year 2015, when oil prices collapsed. And whatever money we had suddenly evaporated. And basically, we were told, you cannot spend more than this, which is less than 10% of what we were planning and contracted with. And so if there had been a strong political will to continue, I'm sure we would have continued along that line, and that being among the top 20 countries would be reachable with that political will. Where are our weaknesses now? We can see that this is Oman, the inner blue line, and the outer line is the top 10 countries in the Global Innovation Index. And our biggest weakness is in knowledge and technology outputs. We are quite good in terms of inputs. We are ranked somewhere around 50, 58. This is for the years 2019 to 21, 78th position. But our weaknesses are in knowledge and technology outputs, where we are more than, in the rank more than 100. These are some of the good indicators, the green ones. The red ones are the not so good that we need to focus on. And from these not so good indicators are, I mean, education. It seems to be we are quite good with education, whereas research in business is something that needs to be sort of looked at, and businesses are linked to academia and so on. This is basically trying to see where are the gaps. And I would like you to look at some of these indicators. This is one of the most important indicators that I think we should be focusing on. The number of full-time equivalent researchers per million inhabitants. And the average for the top 20 is around 5,000, and even the lower part of the top 20 is around 5,000, whereas in Oman we're only about 216. So this is a very significant gap. It's basically how many are employed in the research and innovation. And for that employment, you need expenditure. And this is where the billions you see are being spent, not merely on research facilities, but most important on the people who do the research. You need to attract talent. And for these top 20 countries, they spend about 2.3 on average on their research and innovation, whereas our expenditure is about 0.2, 10% of that. The same thing with private sector R&D expenditure. We have very little expenditure from the private sector, where the private sector normally covers more than half. International companies, in-country R&D expenditure. This is very critical for us here in Oman. The international companies don't do research in Oman, although they quite often spend that amount of research. They use our fields if we are, but the expenditure is not put here in Oman. And maybe some legislation is needed to at least encourage these companies to spend more of their R&D here in Oman. And obviously, in terms of the reflection of that expenditure, how many patents we produce per billion GDP and how many publications we do, and you see that we are relative. This is 10% of that figure, and similarly, this is about 10% of that figure. So the amount you spend, what you spend, you get back on return. Our colleagues, think, conducted this assessment, and they said, where are the focus, where is the focus area that would have the highest impact in the shortest possible time? And obviously, R&D expenditure is critical. Again, the legal system is critical, and the ease of doing work, administrative, removing bureaucratic hurdles is very important. So where are the weaknesses? And I apologize for giving in front of you a very complicated diagram, but I think this will take us to where are the weakness areas. This is a chart that basically takes us through the research and innovation, what is called technology readiness levels, from 1, which is basic research and concepts, to technology utilization, TR, technology readiness level 9, where the technology is marketed commercially. And our weakness, well, there is a significant weakness in all of the system because of the lack of funding. But this is academia. This is in the industry. And this is within what is called the Valley of Death area, which is where we need academia and industry to work together so that we cross that valley of death. And from whatever we saw earlier, there are significant gaps. Our valley of death is real. And there are few or non-existing partnerships that can actually help us take that. And this is where I think industry needs to step in, and this is where academia also needs to work hard towards bridging that gap. And we saw some good examples from Sohar University in terms of GRACE and Intag Sohar and the other facilities. These need to be, there need to be more of these efforts, but also they need to be more active, more commercially driven in their attitude, so that it is not only a corporate social responsibility gesture from the industrial or the private sector, but it's actually a tool that would help industry. It's an investment from industry rather than a corporate social responsibility. And this is a significant gap. There is a significant gap in this area. We tried at the Research Council to bridge that gap and work towards establishing what we called the Advanced Technology Integration Institute in collaboration with German Helmholtz Association and in partnership with industry in here. But when 2015 came and the money evaporated, we found ourselves basically on open air, although we had some contracts with industry. Obviously, as you move from funding in basic research to academia, the amount of money needed basically becomes 10 times within this area and 100 times in that area. So you see the need for the billions. I'm not talking about the millions. Where are the restrictions or constraints within the university arena? Sorry if am I taking a bit of time. So within the university system, there are many constraints. Financial constraints obviously are prominent. You need money to attract researchers, to train researchers, to attract and retain research assistants. If you don't employ enough academicians, they don't have the time to do research. They will be spending more their time on administrative teaching loads, and if you don't have no full-time opportunities for dedicated researchers. Quite often there is a lack of direction. Basically, each academician would work on the area that they are basically good at, with no research teams. There are administrative burdens, and the most important to me is the lack of critical mass. The lack of critical mass. You remember that number of 241 researchers per million compared to 5,000 something researchers per million. And obviously, if you want to do research, you need the people. You need the brains. But also, we somehow tend to be always too few people trying to do too many things. Too few people trying to do too many things. We spread ourselves very thinly so that there is a British saying, a jack of all trades, a master of none. And we tend to spread ourselves thinly, trying to do what we feel is needed, but too few people trying to do too many things. The opportunities here, as I mentioned earlier, is partnership with industry. And I think the government is now trying to push industry, especially the sort of government companies, to focus more on research. But they still view it as a corporate social responsibility or in-country value, which accounts for less than 5% of their activities, of their responsibilities, of their KPIs. So it is not that important to them. Partnership with local and regional research institutes is critical, and tapping into international programs by capturing value from local inputs, covering regional data, and effective marketing. This is important for universities. Universities have to market themselves, market the capabilities of their human resources. And this would prevent industry from seeking knowledge from outside when there is knowledge available nearby. So marketing of academic staff and resources is critical. And in a sense, universities would need to turn into entrepreneurial universities. How am I with time? Am I? Because, well, this would give me the opportunity to speak about something else, which is of, I think, of value. How to address the lack of critical mass. And if I look at the Omani's higher education sector, to me, I can classify it as fragmented and poorly funded. Fragmented and poorly funded. And let me give you an example. This is where we are now. This is in the vicinity of Sohar University. And within this area of Sohar, like many other governorates, the same with Nizwa, the same with Salala, we have several small institutions. Several small institutions separated by walls, duplicating what each one is doing with no proper collaboration. When the Education Council was there, the Research Council conducted a study for the Education Council on the sustainability or the financial sustainability of private universities. And it became clear that these universities are struggling financially to be able to deliver the quality of teaching the country expects from them. And the main reason is this fragmentation and the poor funding. I think, correct me properly, that a student in higher education gets about 2,300. To my understanding, the general education student at schools cost the government around 3,600 or something like that. And that's in the private. So in the government schools, students cost about 3,000, which is more than what is given to. And if you look at the private, it varies from 5,000 to 12,000 riyals for school students. That is trying to provide quality education. So this fragmentation, it meant that the number of students in these universities is very small. The average students for universities, for about 4,700 universities in the US, is around 28,000. 7 private universities in Oman are less in total than that figure. And even Sultan Qaboos University is around that figure. I mean, the figures, the trend in there. So very few students, and the cost again. Sorry, this is income rather than expenditure, and some universities spend more on students than what they get from the government in terms of scholarships. And some of them are trying to balance that as possible. The consequence is that you reduce the number of staff per student. This is the staff-student ratio. The average international standard is about 1 to 12. The average the average government, 1 to 15 institutions. The average for Oman, 1 to 21. And the average for the private universities is 1 to 32. Which means this is a figure. These students are not getting the attention they deserve for the quality of education that is needed. At the same time, these universities have significant capacities. Sohar University is now, from these figures, and these could be old, running at 50% capacity. You could double the number of students at Sohar University for the same facilities, for the same infrastructure, and similar for the other universities. What we felt is a hindrance or a challenge is that the law, I mean, 1 week ago or so, the new higher education law came out, but the previous law mandated that the private universities should be companies owned by shareholders. And although I'm pretty confident that these shareholders established these universities for the goodwill and the support of their community, not for the profit, because most of them, the founders, did not get a penny for 20 years. So, but by law, they were forced to register these universities as companies, with some of them have shares in the stock market. Obviously, this is a big restriction on these universities, because universities around the world receive different sources of income because they are not owned, but they are there for the community. And most of them are endowed. Someone would donate land, someone would donate money, someone would donate this. And no one would donate something to a private company, because that private company has shareholders. So the law, I think, somehow in the new version of it, although I was really disappointed because with what was presented to the Education Council was more than what has been in the new law, is that now they just classify them as government and non-government universities, and I think they left الجوهر to the اللائحة التنفيذية, and I don't know how would that come. But initially, what we hoped is that the law would allow universities who want to change, whose owners want to change it, to, let's say, an endowed university or a public university, where each government would have one university that the whole governance says, this is our university. We will support it in whatever it needs. We will give it land. We will give it donations. We will make it the best in Oman. And free it from sort of being a company. At the same time, the university can own a company, and it can invite its shareholders to be part of that company that is owned by the university, as much as with industry. And those shareholders would then work towards bridging the gap between academia and industry through these holding companies. So we hope this still can take place within the new law. And if you do that, the government could simply say, well, this is not a company, this is a Jam'a Waqfiyya, an endowed university. Why not combine with it this institution, which is only 500 meters away from between them? Why don't you combine them, make them one entity, combine the resources, and support them in whatever way that needs to be, so that these universities will flourish. And what you have here in Sohar, there's also one in Nizwa, there's one in Salala, similar facilities, similar complexes. In conclusion, universities, most of them are non-profit, and most of the universities have endowments. I know the new law says universities can have endowments, but I think the endowed universities should be also free universities, and to be put as a non-profit. You can still make money. Universities make money and make partnership with industry through companies, not the university by itself being sort of a company owned by shareholders. I apologize for taking longer than what is needed, and I thank you again for this opportunity, and look forward, maybe if the time permits, to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Respected Dr. Hilal, thank you very much for this informative presentation.
Thank you.
We've learned a lot. You talked about the Global Innovation Index, and you gave us two examples of two countries that in the Global Innovation Index, Finland and Singapore. You talked about having a research council led by the government, or some sort of committees or boards led by government.
The Prime Minister, the top.
Yes, yes.
Hopefully, we look forward to a similar council being chaired by His Majesty.
Yes.
With all top ministers on board, and soon.
That's a great idea, and countries should think about it. However, when you also looked in on the Global Innovation Index, GDP of countries compared with their innovation index, from that, if you look at the global one, the Arab countries, including the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, are not leading. We have the money, we have the oil and gas. For example, you look at Qatar and UAE, their GDP is very high, but they are not leading in the Global Innovation Index. Also, I would like to add, Finland and Singapore, they don't have much natural resources, but they are in the leading of the Global Innovation Index. Why? Three things. I agree with you, having boards supported by the government at the high level, that's one thing. Having good universities and good research centers in these universities or in some of the, in the country, that's what leads the country. It's not about natural resources, it's not even about GDP. Yes, we need to support money, but we can get money if we are innovative. But you see Finland and Singapore as a good example. So yes, we agree with you, and we, you know, I just wanted to highlight it's not about even natural resources or GDP, otherwise we'll be leading. So we, in the GCC, we have not utilized our GDP to improve in the innovation index, I would say. That's my humble. The other thing, we thank you for the, you said, when you talked about the higher education institution, universities in Oman, and fragmented, yes. We are small institutions, all including the public institutions, except from this, the new one, UTAS, University of Sciences and Technology, yes, because they have around 50,000 students. That's maybe not a small university, it's a big university. And therefore, we are small, and we need the critical mass, which you are talking about. So we agree. Also, the resources are not used properly. Here at Sohar University, we have applied college next door. They're using the same engineering facilities, and we're using it 50%. So yes, yeah, I think you shed light onto that very well, which is really, that's the case. I thank you for this. This is only some comments. The other thing is, I think, أنا أود أشكر الغير متحدثين باللغة الإنجليزية. أنا آسف، ولكن أوعدكم إن شاء الله في القريب العاجل سيكون لدينا بوث للترجمة، مجال للترجمة للغة العربية، فبيكون هناك مجال، وإن شاء الله احنا وساعين لذلك. وأيضا أعتذر عن السكرين، وإن شاء الله نعدكم في القريب العاجل ستكون هناك سكرين كبيرة لتغطي الأحداث مثل هذه، فإن شاء الله هذا وعد. ولذا أتأسف جدا للإخوان والأخوات اللي حضروا ولا يتحدثوا اللغة الإنجليزية، ولكن أعتقد فهمتم شيء ما قالوا الفضل الدكتور هلال من خلال البرزنتيشن والصور. شكرا لك الشيخ دكتور.
شكرا.
دكتور, where you showed the Sultan or King Abdulaziz University graph, which beat all other university. If you think about this graph by taking, this one, by taking the value for money, where would you think Omani University will sit?
It's not the value for money. I'm using this graph to show political will. They stated that they would have 3 or 4 or 5 universities with the top 300 universities in the world. And they achieved it. Okay. That's the political will. They spent money to achieve it. And I'm sure some of that would have residual benefits for these universities, because when you collaborate with Nobel laureates and you take your students to work with their teams, in the end, you would accumulate knowledge. Is it a wise investment? Many criticize them for doing that, but to me, that is political will. You need to spend money to be able to be among the best.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
جزاكم الله خير. شكرا. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hilal. The research journey is a journey that has a lot of challenges, difficulties, and risks. However, Sohar University have been marked with pride as one of the leading institutions in higher education and have made significant progress toward achieving its KPIs. Let's see and have the follow-up date on research and innovation at Sohar University with Professor Ghassan Al-Kindi, the Pro Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation. Welcome, Prof. Ghassan.
I need just to Dear guest of honor, dear colleagues, participants in this conference, thank you very much for attending this conference. This is the 6th conference in the series, and hopefully I will provide a summary on this conference as well and on the status of research and innovation at Sohar University. So as I said, this conference is 6th of the series, and we are delivering that in collaboration with Grace. Thank you for Grace for partially sponsoring this conference. Of course, we are proud to have a main keynote speaker, high prestigious Dr. Hilal Al-Hanai, and we have 4 sessions keynote speakers. And those are Dr. Doris, Dr. Ivan, Professor Young, and Professor Muhammad from different countries. And each session, each theme, we have 4 themes at Sohar University, and we will see them presenting their keynote speakers. And this conference is delivered in both modes, attendance and online. So we have a hybrid mode conference. For the series of this conference, I would like to say the organization committee has put a lot of efforts to make this successful. Thanks to all of them for delivering such successful event. Since 2017, we started our conference with 40 submissions received. And this has been raised over the years. And this year, we received 195 submissions, which is a lot of submissions. And we hope that the coming years, we will also perhaps look at making the conference in dedicated fields, so perhaps more than 1 conference per year. However, we need to take it to a more international level. I'm really pleased to let you know that from last year, we started to publish selected papers in Scopus-based journals. Last year, we have managed to publish 14 papers in Scopus journals. And these 2 journals really published selected papers from SURC 2022. And this year, 3 journals from Scopus, Q1, Q2, and Q3 accepted to publish selected papers from this conference. We are happy to do that, and hopefully in the coming years, we will get more journals accepting to publish papers from the output of our conferences in different disciplines. Today's conference, as I said, we have 195. Our capacity, not only the quality of submissions, but within our capacity, we have accepted 88 papers to be presented throughout the sessions of this conference. Submissions received from 8 countries, 27 national institutions. Number of sessions, we are arranging 11. And these are from different themes: connecting communities, emerging and advanced technology, enterprise and industry, environment. And we have special session for student research. And each have between 12 to 18 papers to be presented in these sessions. As you can see, submissions from all around the world, from US, from UK, and from Fiji, from China, from everywhere around the world. And we hope in the coming conferences, we will get more submissions from international as part of our mission towards being a global university. This take us to let you know where we are at Sohar University and what we are doing to support research, innovation, and knowledge transfer. Thanks to our guest of honor, Dr. Hilal. He gave us excellent information. He showed us where the world is and how to proceed, how to become one of the top countries in research innovation, and how to move forward. Sohar University is still young. Although we are 22 years now, old university, but we are still young. The first 10 years, we focused only on undergraduate teaching. And 2009, perhaps, we started to focus on research. Till now, we have achieved considerable progress, as we will see here what we have done. We have achieved many internationally funded projects, and we have published now our documents in Scopus have reached 1,110 publications. However, as Dr. Hilal said, capacity and also the mass. We need to look at the mass that we have. How many staff we have who can publish? How many staff we have if we compare ourselves, for example, with Sultan Qaboos University, etc. So the most important is not only to look at number of publications, rather than to look at the average publications per staff or per researcher, and also for other things. Now, let us see this, and this is what's captured by QS ranking. What they have put two main KPIs for research, which are papers per faculty staff. And as you can see here, Sohar University rank is 44 among all Arab region. Look at that, how many big universities we have in the Arab region. In Saudi, in UAE, in Egypt, in Iraq, in Syria, in Morocco, everywhere. We are now 44th. And this is good to have it, but we need to work better. And we are number 23 among the Arab universities in terms of citations per paper. Look at that. If we look at other universities, big universities, they are not achieving like us. But this will put more, let us say, challenge and potential for us to move forward. We need to improve on these two KPIs. We are focusing on multidiscipline and perhaps engineering, computer science, and also business management are the main three areas that we are focusing on, and this is why we can see it in the subject areas according to the Scopus papers published and in the database. Of course, if we look at the gross number of documents, as you can see, we started 2009, and this takes time to build research. We were having only 258, and now we are progressing, as you can see, in every 5 years. This is the 5 years duration, what Scopus, Elsevier, they are taking in consideration. And we can see that in the last 5 years, we achieved 605, while the previous time we achieved 443. And 5 years back, we achieved only 258. This shows that we are progressing, but we need to do more in order to appear in world ranking and to move further in the rank. If we look at citation, and in citation, you can see again, they take 6 year duration, and we see our citation is wonderful. We have reached 10,081 citations for the last 6 years. And this has given the university high H index. And we will see that in a bit later. Now, number of countries with at least 5 co-author publications, this is another KPI. We can see that we are also progressing because this is another indicator used by the ranking of universities. And we can see while we were having only 11 previously, now we are having about 23 countries we are collaborating with. And this is a step towards being a global university and having partners from everywhere in the world. Let us see a citation and see how we are progressing in citation by year. And this is how we are progressing in citation. So our citations are becoming better and better. And 2023, you can see that we are now in the red dot. We are still now started, and this is 2nd of May data. And you can see we are here, and I'm sure that we will be even improving for this year and hopefully for the coming years. Now, if we look at the H index for university is important, which show how many documents you have, how many cited, and they take the rank of the document which match the citation. So H index of Sohar University has reached now 54, which means we have 54 documents cited by more than 54 citation. And this, compared to other universities, very good figure. Although, we are yet to say we are small university compared to very large universities there. And we are proud to say, in 2022, Sohar University for first time appeared in Schemago. So again, we are happy to say that, and we will be, although we are 4th in Oman, but we are progressing. So as you can see here, we have achieved good KPIs, and we are progressing, and the data show how we are progressing. Now, as Dr. Hilal said, and to build capacity and mass and infrastructure, you need the funding. From where we get funding, we need to work hard to get this funding. And I'm happy to say Sohar University this year has received $1 million grants. $1 million. 50% of that from private sector. So whenever we say 50% of $1 million per year from private sector, it's good progress. And so far, we have received, in 10 years' time, $23.5 million of research and knowledge transfer funds. And this is excellent whenever we are having that, because this enables us to build our infrastructure. And this is what we have done to build research capacity. So $1 million for 1 year, 50% from private sector. It's a great achievement, but we need to work further. We need to reach 80% from private sector, 20% from government. And this is what we will do in order to move further. This is why many people, whenever they are asked how to assess research, etc., the most important is the output. Output is not only publications, but how to get these publications to add to the economy, how to get registered trademarks, whether patents, etc., to add to the economy. And this is why Sohar University is focusing on linking academia with government and the private sector. Of course, we want to bridge the death of valley and the technology readiness level towards commercialization. And this is our approach on how to do it. We have established, bigger projects at the university, and from there, we are taking them abroad. So we are focusing on applied research, which means not only publishing a paper, not only citation, but what these will add to the country and economy. From now on, this is the focus not only in Oman, everywhere in the world. And this is what the figures we saw, the income per capita of every, what is the income per person in the country, the average is important. And how this be improved if we improve in making the economy better. So what we have done is we establish a bigger project which looks at manufacturing, which looks at to provide the researchers with the need, and as we said, we need to be a university to improve SMEs. So we establish an enterprise center, manufacturing incubator, and soon, this is with Riyadh, and soon we will establish one in collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, scientific incubator. And we are working with the private sector for other projects such as plastic and material, technology centers, and so on. So the projects that we know at Sohar, Sohar University, it's a state-of-art manufacturing and testing facility, and it's aimed to do designed and made in Oman. This means introducing products, introducing services, built, designed, developed in Oman. Today, I'm proud to say, 250 R&D projects, industrial R&D projects, have been completed by Sohar, and to serve 100 companies in Oman. And this will grow. Every day we are getting more companies coming, etc. This has opened for us doors to collaborate with national and international companies. Some of these companies, very high prestigious companies such as Sandvik #1 in tools, DMG Mori is #1 in machine tools making and manufacturing. And we are collaborating with the big names, big companies inside Oman such as OQ. For OQ, only on last month, perhaps more than 30 R&D projects delivered here at Sohar. Each aim to develop by reverse engineering, by investigation, a part. Today morning, we received a request from OQ. They say, okay, develop this. We will stop getting that from the OEM. OEM, the original equipment manufacturing, from OQ. So this is how we are doing it at Sohar University. As you can see, these are only examples of our collaborations inside Oman. This is not for only Sohar. This opens doors for all our faculties. Whenever we have connection, and this is what we led with Sohar Aluminum, for example, delivering some R&D, industrial R&D. They requested to have more consultancies, etc. What we are doing at Sohar University, we are focusing on research and innovation alignment with Oman Vision 2040 and the United Nations, the Sustainable Goals, SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and of course also to meet the Oman commitment to achieve carbon neutral by 2050. So these are where we are working in order to make this, or at least to contribute to this. For knowledge transfer and settlement, Grace Sohar University OQ partnership perhaps is one example. This has brought about $9 million foreign direct investment. $9 million foreign direct investment in Oman. Now these labs receive, thanks for them being here at Sohar University, they develop now a pilot scale refinery at Sohar University. This is for R&D. We will carry, with the Grace, research to further develop catalysts. And this is a great opportunity. Once this open, King Fahad, I think, University from Saudi Arabia came to here to visit us, to visit Grace, to see whether they can establish something similar with them. After 1 week, perhaps, or 2 weeks from opening, they came here. And this is a great, for example, to show that at Sohar University we have these facilities. These labs, They are getting samples not only from GCC, from beyond, making the tests here and issuing the reports to them in few hours' time. And this, of course, has made the Grace and Sohar University names shine everywhere in the region and perhaps beyond. What we are doing also, we are focusing, IT is important area, and we are focusing to, of course, improve ourselves in there. And this is why, thanks to the Faculty of Computing and Information Technology, they have partnered with Huawei and to establish Technology Transfer Center for Communication Networking Lab. This is still in the early year, but it has showed some output, and we hope it will grow from there. Projects funded by Huawei to do it. What we have done, yes, we have manufacturing facilities, etc., but what we want to develop the economy of the country. So we said, let us focus on developing SMEs. And this is why we partnered with RIADA, the Public Authority for SMEs Development, and we established manufacturing, let us say, incubator. In fact, it's an accelerator. Incubator and accelerator, 2-in-1. And this to incubate companies so that they can introduce new products to the market, to serve other industries in Oman, to build the supply chain in Oman and improve, and also to the market, direct to the market. Soon, with the ministry, thanks, they provide us with the approval, we will start the development of the scientific incubator here at Sohar University. Well, we need to address SDGs, UN SDGs, etc., and perhaps we have started on that. Perhaps the Grow Dome, the greenhouse projects that we develop in collaboration with UK is an example. And that it is a $0.5 million project funded by British government in collaboration with the University of Sheffield to address the heat, the food security, the shortage of fresh oil in Oman. And we have built a demonstrator for that, and thanks to them, now we have started or established a good links with UK, let us say, researchers in this area, and this is moving forward. We are proud also to say we have a lot of consultancy projects. Some of these are very important to the economy, and as you know, we have partnered with PDO to do, let us say, investigation of their industrial waste recycling in the asphalt and concrete industry. It's a big project. I think it's, again, about $500,000 project. It's not only theoretical, it's practical with pilot scale output, leading to wider commercialized way to do it. If we see, it's not only this, let us say, consultancy, about 20 consultancies have been paid for consultancies by a private sector, delivered here. These are examples of only recent projects of these. And as you can see, this list presents last year and this year projects, consultancy projects. We have with BIA, we have with Sohar Aluminium, we have with Majis, we have with PDO, and many others, other companies. We are delivering consultancy projects. This means we are collaborating now more with the private sector, and we are depending on research and knowledge transfer income from private sector more than the government, because we know the government has a limitation of funding in this area. This is where I want to stop, and I would like to thank you for giving me this time to have this presentation. Thank you very much.
Finally, we will have some remarks by the head of the research development, Professor Calvin Joseph Bawalia. Please welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor. Because of time, I want to make it 5 minutes, so I'll go straight to the vote of thanks. Yeah, but before I do the vote of thanks, allow me to recognize the presence of Dr. Hilal bin Hainai, who's delivered a wonderful keynote speech today, and is also the guest of honor. And listening to him, I was asking myself to say, he's an exceptional gentleman and he's got vast knowledge in terms of research development and so forth. And I was wondering to say, I think that's why he's called the father of research in Oman. I think it's a privilege to meet you, sir, and thank you for accepting our invitation to come here. I also want to recognize the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Hamdan Al-Fazali. I also want to recognize the DVC Teaching and Learning, Professor Hamza. I also want to recognize the different Pro-Vice Chancellors seated here. Also recognizing the 4 session keynote speakers who are going to join us online. And the different international speakers, also the exceptional researchers that are going to be presenting in this conference, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm very privileged to give the closing remarks, but because of excellent presentations that have been given today, I'm going to go straight to what I call the vote of thanks. And as usual, first of all, let me say, extremely honored that we listened to an excellent presentation from the father of research in Oman. Also privileged to be serving under our Vice Chancellor. I like his innovative mindset. He allows us to explore the blue oceans. He says the space is there, innovate, think, and explore what the blue oceans, anything that you can do. Third, I also want to recognize the presence of Professor Hassan. He is our own father of research in SU. Thank you for your leadership. He's the grandfather of research. I also want to recognize and say thank you to the session keynote speakers for accepting our invitations. I also want to recognize the presence of our industry partners, especially Mr. Ahmed Al-Wayabi, who is representing PTC Business Intelligence. Thank you very much for coming. I also want to recognize the input by the SU organizing team. First of all, I want to say thank you to our research queens, led by Ms. Fatma Aujabli. Thank you for an excellent input. I also want to recognize the input by our research kings. And these are the theme leaders seated over there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your input. Also want to recognize the excellent input that has been given by the students from the Faculty of Business. Thank you very much. Also, the input from the Student Council, Mr. Jamal, you are always available to help. Thank you very much. I also want to say thank you to Honorable Dr. Dawood Hamdani for organizing the postgraduate arm of this conference. So, Vice Chancellor, that was my 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Calvin. And now, on behalf of Sohar University, I would like to invite Dr. Hamdan Al-Fazari to present a memento to our guest of honor and the main keynote speaker, Dr. Hilal Al-Hinai. Hassan Al-Kindi, Honorable Dr. Dawood Al-Hamdani, Professor Calvin Joseph, Ms. Fatma Al-Jabri, Professor Raj Mohan, Professor Rakesh, Dr. Jabbar Yusuf, Dr. Rafiq Jamusi, and Mr. Umar Al-Mazrui. Finally, at the end of our opening ceremony, we would like to draw everyone's attention that we will have a coffee break and refreshments for half an hour. Then the parallel sessions will start at 11 a.m. sharp. Please note that the lunch break will be in the main cafeteria, Shanas building. Full guidance will be provided by the organizers. Also note that you can have the full details of the parallel sessions and the location by scanning the QR code posted on the banners outside, or you can visit the conference webpage at Sohar University website. Thank you for your attention and have a good day. Was with you, Jamal Nofli.